chop all these siege tanks now. Those drones really desperately trying to run for their lives. There's Wednesday Night
vVv gaming.
vVv, I believe, late last year. So we'll see what's going to come down, as it is going to be Rocker versus Heavens here on MLG Shattered Temple. And this is a Protoss versus Zerg. This is the first time we're going to see Rocker playing a non-Protoss versus Protoss mirror match. And I am interested to see whether or not he can get into a heavy macro game. And as you mentioned, as he's always fell apart just a little bit prematurely in those Protoss versus Protoss mirror matches.
Yeah, I have a feeling we'll at least see two base play from him. I know the current metagame is basically you get off two bases and go for some sort of timing or get into a big long macro game. We've really evolved from a year or 18 months ago when it was a lot of one base timing. So hopefully we get into a macro game here. I'll let you do the player introductions because this time we do have a pretty in purple Protoss.
All right, so on the top side of the map at the 12 o'clock position, we have a pretty in purple Protoss. Meanwhile, HeavensLighT deciding to stick with pink. So it is going to be a pink Zerg on the south side of the map, and purple and pink in a Protoss versus Zerg. Personally, I don't like purple, especially if there is creep on the map. It's hard to spot some things, as we now see a Forge Fast expansion most likely coming in from Rocker. Rocker placing the pylon down on the low ground and going straight for a cross expansion or a cross map check to see where his opponent is. He'll get all the necessary information, and Rocker may decide to go for a Nexus first if he doesn't see an early pool.
Yeah, so far no gas and no pool, and really the gas is what he's looking for here, as if he goes for an early pool, you can still go for a Nexus sometimes, but if you get gas, then you're going to have speed, and you're going to have speedlings in your base very, very quickly, so you have to get down that forge, you have to get down that cannon, and it looks like Rocker has yet to make a decision. We'll see. He is chrono boosting and queuing up probes, so I think it will be a Nexus first, and right now he is blocking the hatchery from going down with that pylon, so popping back in and seeing that spawning pool, we'll see what he goes for.
Yeah, right now it looks like he will be going for a Forge first, as it looks as though the pylon was cancelled. The probe now just wandering around once more down here, making sure that the drone cannot grow up and be a hatchery. And then we should be seeing a Nexus placed down in just a moment, as both players really want to set up their second base as quickly as possible to try and get a strong economic advantage into the mid game. Now you can see that there is still no gas from Heavens at all, so he really needs to get down this hatchery, as he does have enough minerals, and finally places one down there.
Yeah, it looks like two Lings coming out for Heavens. He already knows where his opponent is. He doesn't need him for scouting. He's just going to sort of poke in and see what sort of timings he can see on the gateway and on the cybernetics score here. You can sort of time out when warp gate's going to finish, when some sort of 6 or 7 gate is going to be coming your way. So he's going to get across the map, I imagine, take that Zelnaga tower and park a Zergling right outside of the front door of Rocker.
Yeah, so right now, Heavens pretty much has two real options. He can either try to macro off of the second hatchery in order to put down a lot of pressure on the natural expansion, or he can try to clear out the destructible rocks here and try to go for another expansion. Both plays are really, really strong, and it looks as though he's clearing those rocks already with those two early Zerglings, and he wants to make his way and get up that expansion.
Yeah, one of the popular counters to this Forge Fast Expand play, besides just being very aggressive with roaches or banelings, is to go for that quick third base. But with this map having rocks at both the gold and blocking basically what would be your natural third, it can be pretty tough to get up a quick third as Zerg. You're almost forced to either get a lot of units out early to take down the rocks, or take a third which is much farther away. I actually prefer to go for an aggressive play here, as the natural of the Protoss doesn't really lend itself perfectly to that Forge Fast Expand. There's still a big hole in the wall of Rocker, and it looks like Heavens is just going to allow that to remain. So Rocker hasn't placed down too much covering, just finally a cybernetics core going down, but still pretty large hole, and Heavens could have taken advantage.
Yeah, but Heavens instead wanting to go into the macro game. You can see him with 28 drones right now, running off of 3 queens. He's going to be able to lay down those creep tumors in just a moment and then start spreading creep across the map. for that all-important speed boost with those Zerglings, Banelings, Roaches, and anything else that slithers in the Zerg army. We are getting into the Cybernetics core by Rocker, and after this, I should expect to see a Stargate, as most Protoss players like to go for a Stargate after a Forge Fast expansion, just in case there is early Roach pressure.
Yeah, he hasn't had his gas up too long, though, so I'm not sure if he's really going to be able to afford Stargate play at this point. It looks like he is getting the +1 very quickly, so might be going for some sort of timing here. He is getting up his second gate, and he's getting out his first Zealot. It's going to immediately work on his own destructible rocks. And now we see Heavens going to be sacrificing an Overlord here in the position in the southeast corner of Rocker space. Going to try to figure out what sort of tech he is going for. He has yet to poke at the front door. Actually, yes, he did just a few moments ago. I missed that. But, you know, these two Lings have been working on the rocks by Heavens Natural for so long. They're not even halfway done, just barely halfway done on those rocks. So, you know, I'm not really sure what Heavens is going to go for in the mid game here.
Yeah, I think Heavens right now is just trying to get a really, really strong drone count. He's already up to 42 compared to 40, constantly hitting spawn larva. Rocker has been chrono boosting out probes pretty consistently as the Overlord once again flies in across the center, and we are now going to see a Twilight Council come in. So as opposed to any Stargate play, he's going into a Twilight Council as the Zealot is now trying to take down the rocks, as you mentioned earlier. I think the Zealot should be able to take down the rocks actually faster than the Zerglings. Poor Zerglings trying to chip through 3 armor, unable to really do any serious damage. But Heavens is going to fly by this base with these Overlords and pretty much not get shot down, finally losing 1 Overlord to a Stalker and a Sentry.
Yeah, and he scouted the main, but all the tech is in the natural for Rocker. And with the timing on this Twilight Council, I imagine Rocker's going to go for a quick +2. You know, that Twilight Council allows you to get the second level of upgrades for both armor and attack, and shields, of course, if anybody's crazy enough to go for that. So I think we'll have a +2 timing here, maybe with Blink Stalkers, but yeah, we'll have to see. Heavens just barely now going to be able to take down those destructible rocks, so he is going to get up his third. He does have the supply advantage, 84 to 67, but I'm not sure that he's going to be able to break Rocker at this point.
Well, by the looks of it, it looks like Rocker may go into a Warp Prism and then try to go into a Dark Shrine play. A Dark Shrine for those Dark Templars. We'll see whether or not he does start that Warp Prism. He needs to start it sometime soon. Otherwise, he's going to be losing some critical time as he is chrono boosting out that Warp Prism now. An Overseer now making his way in. He wants to see what's being trained as the level 2 weapons upgrade are coming in. Dark Templars have a very easy time taking down a layer if it is not detected, especially with +1 or even +2 upgrades. This timing is going to be absolutely critical as we now see the Overseer still flying around. I don't believe he has yet spotted the Dark Shrine.
He has not spotted the Dark Shrine, and he didn't see that a Warp Prism came out of the robotics there. He basically missed it, but now he sees the Warp Prism because Rocker gives it away using that Warp Prism for the high ground sight. So he was able to take down the scout, but now Heavens knows that the Warp Prism is on the field, does not know about that Dark Shrine like you said though.
Yeah, Zerglings now also pushing pressure on the backdoor rocks over here. Stalkers are going to make their way over and be able to destroy these Zerglings here as the Roaches are going to be joining in on this fight as well. It looks like the rocks are down to about 400 hit points. There are some Stalkers and also 1 Changeling in the group, so HeavensLighT does have sight up onto the high ground as we now see Roaches also pushing pressure at the Forge as well. We can also see finally some force fields coming in. The Roach may not be able to shoot it down as the Stalkers are going to be, nope, actually able to get off that final shot there.
Yeah, so he's able to take down that Forge right before +2 finishes, and now Heavens putting on pressure at the third of Rocker. Rocker working on some Dark Templar here, and I'm not sure they're going to be able to clean up these Roaches before the Nexus does go down. Yeah, he did have 3 Dark Templars, so they're going to be able to do it. And Rocker actually gets a drop with the Warp Prism of Dark Templar into the third of Heavens at this point. And Heavens, I'm not sure, has any sort of detection. He does have 1 Overseer in his natural, but I think he might lose this hatchery to these 2 DTs. Yeah,
so just pressure all across the base, just trying to knock on the front door. It looks like the Dark Templars will take down the hatchery over here, but not before, I believe, a gateway and a forge was destroyed back. But it is now still 3 bases to 2 in favor of Protoss, and Rocker, even though he is currently ahead in terms of his overall worker count, is still behind in food, so he cannot push out with his army. He still has a much weaker army at this stage.
And he's got sort of low tech at this point. He hasn't gotten Blink. That +2 didn't finish. He's just now chronoing out some Immortals, trying to combat the Roaches with, Immortal Stalker, but without upgrades, without Blink, and just with a few DTs, I'm not sure he's going to be able to defend against the big macro of HeavensLighT.
Yeah, HeavensLighT now moving in. He has an Overseer with each of his Roach army, as now the Roach is going after units one at a time, taking down probes, attacking the front door, attacking the third base. Stalkers and Dark Templars now trying to make their way over as well, and Immortal going to join in on the fight. Dark Templar just getting absolutely cleaned up already, as the Immortal now left to do the majority of the work. Roaches are unable to constantly engage as the Stalkers and Immortals constantly push, and now an attack once again on the front door. Stalkers and Immortals constantly trying to fight their way through. It looks like an Immortal may get taken down. Yes, it does, but another Immortal in behind, as the Stalkers may finish off some Overseers.
Yeah, Rocker's able to take advantage of some decent positioning there, using his buildings and some force fields, basically to combat the small units or the small groups of units which Heavens is using. And Immortals in small groups, very, very good. They can't be focused down quickly, and they can take down Roaches very, very fast. We do see that DT is again working on the third of Heavens, so he might actually lose his hatchery right as it's about to finish. It looks like yes, he will, so still stuck on 2 bases as he's pushing for counter aggression.
Yeah, Rocker now being forced to retreat with all of his Stalkers here. The Forgers are going to complete, and we may see some canceling on those pylons over here, as the units are coming back around from the north. Stalkers are now trying to make their way down in, as we are now going into Blink. So the Blink will allow those Stalkers to perhaps start chasing those Overseers and then shoot them down out of the sky in order to get more Dark Templars into the action.
Yeah, a little bit of Blink Micro helps with positioning as well. You know, they're trying to bounce back and forth here between the natural and the third, and it takes quite a while when you build all these buildings. So it looks like we're going to have an Immortal and Blink Stalker army. Again, Rocker really hasn't been able to get his upgrades going. He's still just at 1-0-0 compared to, I believe, 2-0 now for Heavens. So Heavens has that advantage. He's got the macro advantage. The Rocker's catching up a little bit. It's 165 to 142, and that's because Rocker really has been on 3 bases a long time, and he hasn't lost too many probes. It's 66 to 47.
Yeah, 66 probes, 47, and 40 drones there, as a couple, changelings getting shot apart once more. There are now 4 Immortals in this group, and the Immortals, with that range of 6, should be really effective against these Roaches, but it's going to be a question on whether or not the Roaches are able to surround and perhaps start poking apart at those Stalkers. The changelings are going to once again change into those Zealots. Yes, Rocker now staying on top of them, making sure that those changelings are not in the group far too long, and now it looks like Rocker trying to even up the food count, 163 to 183, as we are now getting some observers, and some Zerglings are going to looking to try to run by, but there are photon cannons here.
Well, we've got a few switches coming here. We've got the Robotics Bay just went down for Rocker, so he is going to be going for Colossi, and at the same time Heavens is going for Pathogen Glands, so he might be trying to get some infestors out, some fungal growths going on the big ball of Rocker. We see an engagement in the center here. Those Roaches are going to try to get a surround on these units, but nice force fields going up. Some great surface area for Rocker, and Heavens forced to go around a lot of these Roaches, not able to fire, and Rocker gets a huge advantage in that encounter, is able to take down a ton of Roaches, doesn't lose too much in the way of units himself.
Yeah, I was really surprised that Rocker actually didn't try to blink in after this, as he could have taken out a lot of those units. Rocker now losing a lot of those Overseers, and there's the blink coming in. Roaches engaging, force fields behind. Roaches are not going to be able to engage against many of those Immortals as they are out of range, and it looks like Rocker is just going to eat through many of these Roaches here as the Colossus joins in on the fight.
Yeah, Rocker looking really strong here. He's able to sort of get backed into a corner a little bit, but just not enough units for Heavens at this point to surround and take down that army. Those Immortals and Stalkers so strong, and now we have Colossi finally coming out, and I don't think that Heavens has an answer for these Colossi. He is coming out with a few infestors, so he might try to focus down the Colossi, as they do not have the extended thermal lance, so those Roaches can get in on those Colossi. We'll see if Heavens tries to focus those down, but Rocker just paving his way, taking down all these creep tumors. It is 181 to 138, and Rocker even has the gold on the way.
Yeah, with the gold on the way and the Roaches now stuck in the center, they want to be able to return back home, but it looks like the Stalker and Colossi army is just trying to push them up into the corner. The Stalker's now going to get in some easy shots here. Creep tumors now still spreading. Stalker's now continuing to blink forward, but may have been bit off more than they can chew, as the one Colossus may get focused down. Yes, it does get focused down there, but Immortals and Stalkers still finishing off many more of these roaches. One Immortal down to 10 hit points, it gets taken out. But Rocker with now a commanding lead with 60 food, and should be able to perhaps destroy this gold hatchery before it really gets up and running.
Yeah, and if Rocker is able to get up, you know, a few more Colossi, we just have the fungal growth coming here, but it looks like Heaven's not going to take this opportunity to really engage. Rocker doing a nice blink there, trying to spread out and get into a decent arc, and it's just a few roaches here and a few infested Terran, and it looks like this Colossi doing a lot of work against these roaches. The Immortals in the back have a ton of kills. One has 24, another 12, more Colossi coming in here, and Rocker, as he makes his way into the natural, it's going to be very tough for Heavens to rally his troops all together. They're going to be coming from different angles, different hatcheries, and there's Heavens giving the GG, sort of read the writing on the wall, and Rocker gets his first win on Wednesday Night Starcraft, I believe, in a pretty solid PvZ.